real politics. Yes, sir.
The 10 steps in the outline, just like, do they just kind of, if you're embarking on a movement towards fascism, are those just the things you have on the way, or do you assert that there's some sort of, that there's a handbook that people are following from?
Right. That's another. Unfortunately, there is by now a handbook. I mean, it's not bound and distributed. It goes like this: Mussolini was the great innovator. He developed the modern ways to close a modern democracy. Hitler studied Mussolini and reproduced a lot of his tactics expressly, like the brown shirts were modeled on the black shirts. Detention without due process was modeled on Mussolini's camps and so on. Stalin studied Hitler, Hitler studied Stalin. So the great dictators established that this worked in the first half of the 20th century. Subsequently, every petty dictator in the second half of the 20th century reproduced what the great dictators did. And now, at the School for the Americas, which you may be familiar with, where the US trains would-be dictators in Latin America, they teach this. So, if you look at people who want to seize power and crush democracy, by now know exactly what to do. Look at Thailand a year ago. In 1 week it was democracy. A week later, it was a police state because they ticked through, 7 of the 10 steps. Myanmar is another perfect example. If you know the blueprint, you know what's going to happen. First, they arrest, first there are protests in the streets. Then they arrest the monks. And when they arrested the monks, I thought, okay, well, next we're going to see that they're beating the monks and putting pictures of the abused monks in public places. And that's what happened the next day or two later. You can see this in Russia. Russia right now is struggling. Will it be open? Will it be closed? So now they shot another journalist. So that's, step 9, you shoot the journalists. That's how you close it further. It's not like it's distributed, but people who are operating at that level understand what needs to be done. Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to, is there anyone burning to ask a final question? Because I have to go get an 8-year-old for a birthday party.
Just a footnote.
A footnote.
That was a lawyer they shot.
That was a lawyer they shot. Journalist and lawyer. I mean, plenty of people are, unfortunately, yeah. All right, yes, last question? Yes, miss. I can't hear you.
Okay. I want to thank you for emphasizing participation in those various ways of participating that do exist.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. And something I really struggle with, and it took me a little while to formulate, is whether that kind of participation that we all want is possible within the bounds of the U.S. Constitution. And if defending the Constitution is something we want to do, I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Wow, there's a humdinger to end on. I would vote yes for the Constitution, but I'm sorry, what was that?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
It took me a while now to end, but I'm really curious what others think.
So if I understand you correctly, I guess what I want to say is, first of all, the Constitution is hard to understand if you are not a lawyer or if you're not living in the 18th century. And one of the great gifts that came from my journey writing Give Me Liberty is that 2 attorneys translated the Constitution into ordinary English. And I believe every person in America should have a copy of it and the Bill of Rights in ordinary English. But if you absorb it, and the Declaration of Independence, the part everyone skips is that it's a contract for each of us to personally stand up and fight tyranny and overthrow the government if the government oppresses the people. That's what the Declaration of Independence commits us to. So the foundational document calls for our action. And the Constitution, First Amendment, my favorite amendment, insists that each of us has a right, but also with the Declaration of Independence, an obligation to assemble and petition for redress of grievances, to speak up, to demand change, to confront our government. So unless I'm missing something, the Constitution is the most beautiful, expansive framework anyone's ever created, and so many countries model their own constitution on ours for citizen engagement, citizen speech, and our foundational documents require, saying that being an American means engaging in protest, speech, assembly, confrontation of the government, and speaking up for freedom. So on that note, thank you all very much. Let's give